It all comes down to this final match of the night. Lewis Roberts and John Rowe. Sean Chipperfield and Carl Sutton. Chipperfield with the break. And for the first time tonight, he scratches at an opening, perhaps. The reason why this match is so significant is 3 pairs are still live in this group. Carl Sutton and Sean Chipperfield go through if they win. They also go through if they draw. If Lewis Roberts and John Rowe find a win, we are going to a 3-way 6-red shootout. These 2 pairs will stay in the arena, and we'll also welcome back the 2 Joneses to throw down in a 3-way 6-red.
Yeah,
I dare say there's a fair few Lewis Roberts and John Rowe fans right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. There's quite a few in for supporting everybody, actually. But you get the sense that John and Lewis are going to have to play probably their best match of the 3 so far. They've just made a couple. It's not like they've been terrible. They've just made a couple of errors that let them down a couple of times. But they've not been a million miles off. But we've not seen hardly anything go wrong for Sean and Carl, and it's really important that this pairing at the table now take their opportunities, because you just get the sense that Carl and Sean will.
These have been taken out very tidily. Don't want to throw the jinx on them, but very nicely done.
Oh, cue ball close.
This for 1-0 and a quarter of the way there.
My word. I was thinking to myself...
Oh, you lucky boys.
When John left it there, I was thinking to myself that they've ended up a little bit awkward here. It's not one that Lewis would ever miss, but the in-off's close, but the yellow's got to be in the way. And that all stemmed from 3 shots before, when they finished the wrong side of a ball, and in the end, wrong side of the last ball, and yeah, yellow wasn't in the way.
Oh.
Well, I'll make the case the yellow was in the way, because if they go one, tiniest margin closer to the yellow, then as in would have gone in, they would have hit the yellow. So it was as close as you could get to the yellow without it going off.
Well, Carl Sutton seeing the funny side of it at least. I don't think John Rowe did. I think poor Lewis has given Johnny Boy a heart attack there. Oh, straighten off. Straighten off. He's crunched that as well, Lewis.
And this one might not take long, because this is as good as it gets, really. The split is very, very comfortable.
He knew straight away. So did Carl Sutton.
You feel like that was the only shot that could go wrong, and that wasn't necessarily a challenging shot for a player of Carl's level.
Yeah, just slided it in off the near jaw, but
yeah,
it was fine.
But they're always a little bit fiddlier in the middle than these guys make it look, but had to play it there, or the right thing was to play it there. Now it really is very, very simple. Comes around to double check, but straight into the top left on the next shot is perfect. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. It's better actually to use a cushion. I did some filming with Declan Brennan and spent a lot of time talking about that sort of thing. Straight in's perfect here, but if you leave yourself short straight, you use the left-hand side cushion. It allows you to control yourself into perfect shape on the next ball better than being in straight. Just gives you more margin of error on shots.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah. Never looked in doubt from the minute the cue ball went in off that break. Sean's probably looking at Carl and saying, what took you so long? I could have done that in half the time. It will be Sean to break in the next frame. And he's been breaking well tonight. I know he went in off on that first break there, but the break's been good tonight. Right, what's Sean got for us? Keep the cue ball on the table this time. Give himself a chance. Yeah, exactly that. Probably miss-hit it a little bit more than the previous. You can see, yeah, it'd be interesting to see this one on super slow-mo. Does he come across it? Maybe just a tip too high. He didn't come across it. He actually squares it up, but just had a lot of topspin on it. And a very awkward leave. If he goes yellows, the one by the 8-ball is the issue. I don't think the plant to start with is too tricky. Of course, he's got one to right centre if he wants to, but that is delicate off the cushion. Interested to see how he's thinking about dealing with the yellow by the 8-ball. He's got to be careful when he plays a cannon, and he will have to play a cannon, that he could move the 8-ball and make the 8-ball awkward, because it currently actually goes in the centre pocket. Pretty sure it goes past that red, but he's going to have to move it, you feel.
Just like that.
So made sure he moved it far enough so it didn't go into the reds, and I think he'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he's got to play a few good shots, but I think if you offer Chippy in any frame this, I think he'd take it.
Yeah, just slightly awkward, because if he could get straight into right centre when potting the one to bottom right corner, it would be fairly easy for a player at his level that pots as well as he does, but that was just the wrong angle for it, so that's what took him a few extra seconds just to work it out to go this way round. And
wow.
Brought the miss in.
Those are rare. You do not get many of those.
I know this is close to the cushion, and it's one that can be missed. You know, you go to your club, that isn't an absolute sitting pot, but for Sean Chipperfield, that's a sitter. He's such a good potter.
That's a really jarring miss.
Yeah, and he missed it because he wanted to just move the cue ball on and off the cushion. He was maybe a turn too straight on it for comfort.
Wow, what a hit. That's about as good a result as he could have had.
As long as that red doesn't go in the right centre.
True.
If it does, then John could go. Don't think it does.
The only thing you would say is if it doesn't, it's, you know, he's got out of a tough snooker and he's made a problem for John. One thing it might do is just elongate this frame, and I don't think that's really what Sean Chipperfield and Carl Sutton want. If they are going to lose it, and they'll almost certainly think they will lose it at this stage, 2 balls versus all these, John's a great player, they're almost resigned to their fate here. They'd much rather this be done quickly than dragged out slowly.
Yeah, in a match clock era, losing slowly is disastrous. If you're going to lose a frame, lose it quick. Yeah. Unless you're ahead in a match, you know, obviously then you want to drag it out. But you know, in this sort of situation, in falling, you don't want to spend the next 6 minutes falling behind here. You want to either win it or lose it quickly, but equally you don't want to just throw the frame away. You feel like you've still got to play the right shots and hang in there, because you make it hard for John.
And John's been around the block a long time. He's got all the angles, he's got all the shots. Very, very clever player is John Rowe.
I think Chippy's thinking about using the angles here. He's got to be careful. No, he can he get past the 8-ball enough to get to the one on the bottom one of the two? Yeah, he can.
Oh, 8-ball. Oh, now then.
Just the way he was lining that up, I didn't know whether he could get to that cushion to play that shot, and now that he has, that is the perfect outcome for him.
Yeah. This red is now an enormous problem for John Rowe. You say perfect outcome, I'll just raise the point again. This frame has now got some real mileage in it. John's not going to have any motivation to go here until he can.
He's just going to double check this isn't a foul. This could be a foul here for not hitting a cushion after contact. And yeah, my gut feel is this is actually a foul, because he come off the cushion, hit the yellow. The yellow's gone up the table. That hasn't reached. The cue ball went into the 8-ball. The 8-ball didn't reach. Now, did the cue ball go and reach the bottom cushion? I'm not 100% certain on that. So keep an eye on all three balls here. Something has to hit a cushion after contact with the yellow. Otherwise, it will be a cue ball in hand for John Rowe.
This is our VAR call. You can play ref at home.
Yellow doesn't. 8-ball doesn't, and cue ball doesn't. This will be a foul.
It is. It's a foul. Yeah, referee's had a watch. And that very much is a foul, which should mean John Rowe can go, because he can just play underneath the red. But he's still got the red on the right side. That's a bit of a problem. And you couldn't blame him if he wanted to long this frame out a little bit, but...
Well, if Sean hasn't covered the bottom left here, then John can play short position on the one in the open, or the one nearest the sort of middle of the table, if you like, and play it off the red over the right centre. This is a tougher shot from here. I think he's convinced himself it goes.
He's made the awkward ball.
I think if this goes, why didn't he play it on the very first visit to the table when they were, you know, I'm surprised he's... I think if it goes, he'd have gone already.
Yeah, it's almost like he's tried to convince himself and then convince himself it doesn't.
Maybe he's thinking double. Red will double. He's got to clear the pocket for it first.
That is all the eggs. He can land perfect on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of double that it's as good as a pot. It's one of those that where he's going to put the cue ball for it, well, just moving that red a little bit further up the table means he may not be perfect on it.
I think he's planning on playing on the pot. He just lined it up again.
Yeah, but I'm really surprised by this. I think he can still drop the red in and hold the cue ball enough to make the double. He's just doubling it back a little bit more. Whereas if he hadn't made that little nudge, it would have been as good a double as you'll ever see.
He still has his extension, John. Oh, big shot. He's got his cue ball right. Yeah, decides to hold.
The other thing this does is gets the cue ball a little bit more loose, whereas if he was straighter on this, he could have put the cue ball on the bottom cushion and left nothing on for Sean.
In the double goes. Ah, never in doubt, was it?
Kept us guessing.
Never in doubt. And yeah, a little bit of a ripple in the arena, and I think they're the Scousers, because the Tom Jones clan is still very much out in support. Only for this match alone, they're not supporting Tom Jones Jr. and Senior, they're supporting John Rowe and Lewis Roberts, because a win for them is a win for the Joneses, because we'll see a three-way six-red shootout. It's the only way they can qualify. All smiles in the end for John Rowe. I would just slightly suggest he made a little bit of heavy weather in that frame in the end, but a win's a win's a win's a win.
Yeah.
And it has taken a decent chunk of time off that clock. Over a 5-minute frame, that. And Lewis Roberts and John Rowe lead. 6 minutes and 11 seconds. And tick, tick, ticking. Well, that was tick, tick, boom from John Rowe.
We've had quite a few breaks tonight where balls have gone in, but the cue ball's gone to the top of the table and left very little on. And here's another one. How brave do John and Lewis want to be here?
Well, if they win this frame, they've got 1 foot in a 6-red shootout.
I would suggest if the yellow by the 8 ball goes, they could take that into the left centre with a bit of control. But you've still got the yellows on the right-hand side that are a real problem. Reds, the only pot you've got on is not good, and there's no position off it. Unless you want to play a double. Maybe there's position off the double. So it is just a safety. I'm not surprised to see that.
All right then, this now is a big, big frame. Because from here on out, you'll hear a noise in a second. And that noise means that from the next shot, which will be John Rowe and Lewis Roberts, we are on a 15-second shot clock. Sean Chipperfield calls his extension. Even he didn't fancy that shot with the beeps buzzing down. And on a 15-second shot clock in what we expect to be a tactical frame, they've both burned their extensions early. That was full-blooded from Chippy.
Yeah, I think that's why they called the extension, setting them down. Big shot, that one.
Of their left match? I don't think so.
Well, there's a clip in the middle. It's just where's the cue ball going?
You don't have much time to decide. Oh, I think that's perfect, isn't it? Oh, not quite.
No, I think he was hoping to move the yellow, and then that would open up the red to right centre.
Well, can they just tuck up behind the 8 ball here? Is that the plan? It certainly is. Not close to it, but they get the angles covered at least. It might just have left a snick of the yellow that's closest to the cue ball, but that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and the yellow's down the table, but they've got to be careful here because the reds go. The red that they've just moved connects to the one below the 8 ball because that goes to the left centre.
I think they've left the red at the bottom of the table.
I think worse way, they've left a cushion first, and the cushion first flick in to get the cue ball up. If they land straight in on red to right centre, they can get out. Get up, needs to get up, needs to get up. They're short. They need to be straight or even a turn past straight. That's now really awkward because they're going into the yellows. Can he just use the yellows, power through this?
That's what he's tried.
Tough, very tough that. So it's anywhere near straight in on the one to top right and they were out.
A blow.
It is, because Chipperfield and Sutton have just become massive favourites for this frame.
And they only need a draw, remember.
Oh,
Time foul, definitely. No doubt about that. Referee Orich straight in on it. Cue ball in hand for Carl Sutton and Sean Chipperfield.
and that does make a difference. I'm assuming the yellow, well, the fact they're playing away from it, I was wondering whether the yellow nearest the 8 ball goes top right, but it does. So it just gives them complete control here to pick the route they want. Actually, a little bit surprised with cue ball in hand. Just where Sean pointed his cue there, they didn't play the top one of those two yellows together. I think that would have made the clearance a little bit easier. Now they've got to get there. This is probably the key shot for them. If they land good on the next ball, it'll be very simple.
Needs to get there.
He was actually playing on the yellow to top left, and he's on it, but he's on it the wrong side of straight.
Just hold for the one to the top right.
And they're still struggling here simply because of not playing that yellow to left centre, the top one of those two together with their free shot.
And this is shot clock pressure. They don't have loads of time to get this figured out. If that top yellow goes to the left centre, they're fine.
It does, but they're cannoning into the yellow. So can he just nip past it?
I think they can.
Oh, he could. He wasn't touching the yellow at all. So they've done. That was an excellent shot from Sean to get Carl there and be able to play that in such a clean way.
1 minute left after these two shots are completed, maybe even less. And I would suggest it is in their interest to use every single second here. Don't miss though. Never in doubt. 48 seconds left for the final frame of the night, and it is still live.
And it's their break though. It's everything points to them going through now. Interesting, Carl, obviously that was a tricky-ish 8-ball yesterday in the Players' Championship. He missed the easiest pot of his career by his own admission because he was trying to run the clock down by hitting it firmer and having the cue ball travel around the table. As he said, he will never ever do that again. So he wouldn't have entered his head there simply because that was the one he had to give a bit of attention to, and there was a lot he didn't want to race the cue ball around on that one. But something we've seen Sean Chipperfield do, and he nearly come unstuck with it as well in the past.
Dry break is what Lewis and John are really hoping for here. And in off maybe. Golden duck would be nice. But 48 seconds left. Sean Chipperfield just needs to stay at the table. And they're through. He backed himself to make a ball. No tap break required here. And what a break to pull out at this time.
Can he pot? Oh, he's got a couple of tricky pots. Can he see the one that's easy to the top right? If he can, it's over.
Calls his extension straight away. He's a very cerebral player, Sean Chipperfield. He knew exactly what he was doing there. In fact, he doesn't want to, but he is going to wait. He knows it's the right thing to do. He doesn't like doing it, but he knows it's the right thing to do. Don't think any player likes doing that. But all's fair, really, in love and war. That is going to be that. Shot clock will run down. Match conceded. It ends a draw, and that is enough for Carl Sutton and Sean Chipperfield to remain unbeaten, and their superlative Pairs Cup run continues. They've made it through yet another Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup group. They're into the second stage for the third year in a row.